All right. And we are live. Hello, everyone. Just check settings really fast. Looks good. Looks good. Audio looks good. Excellent. Welcome. Oh, I'm excited to dive in. Happy Sunday, y'all. Already got a number of questions here. Really good questions here. Awesome. Well, today we are not going to waste any time. I usually give it a second to allow people to come in, kind of get settled, but because it's going to be a little bit of a shorter Q&A today, and I'm sorry for that, I want to go ahead and just jump on in. But hello to everyone. I see many familiar faces and some new ones. Welcome to this rendition, this Sunday live Q&A, where we hang out, we talk about the law, I answer your questions so that, as always, you can have deeper understanding, you can come to different meanings so that you can apply these in your life and see the change that you want. Yeah, nothing more, nothing less. And we just hang out and have fun, really. A couple quick things before we go ahead and jump in. Mindset Mastery Program, my 12-week program, is starting next Monday, the 29th. That's the first official day. Registration is still open until tomorrow, Monday, the 22nd. So if you are interested in learning more about it or interested in joining, you can go ahead and check that description box below for more information. But other than that, is there anything I'm forgetting? I think we can go ahead and jump in. All right. And apologies if the video is acting a little bit weird. I know that we got some dudes up in the tree right now fixing our satellites, so we will be good. Oh. Don't ask me thanks. I love that name. Hey, Missy, I have trouble getting in the habit of visualizing meeting my SP for the first time. Do you have any advice on getting into the habit of visualizing? Thanks. Absolutely. Absolutely. I was just like when we are wanting to learn something new, right? This could probably be the same as anything that we want to learn. When it's something that's new, when we're introducing something for the first time or just getting the hang of it, my personal opinion, make sure it's something manageable. Just make sure that something manageable that you commit to doing daily. And what I mean by that is, depending on your schedule, depending on what you feel, is reasonable and won't become overwhelming, I would do that. So even if that's just dedicating 5 minutes a day to visualization exercises. I believe I have a video talking in depth about some visualization exercises. If you are curious, you can check out that video. If you just type in Missy Renee visualization, that should pop right up. But at least for me, the biggest problem that I had was I would try to go too big, basically. I would have like insane goals that I really pushed myself to try to meet. Like if we're just getting started with something like meditation and we're like, I'm going to meditate for 2 hours every single day, might be a bit much if you're a beginner at it, So keep it to something that you feel you can commit to daily, whatever that is, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, but then do that daily. And before you know it, it is like a muscle. It will get stronger and stronger. Is there a cat in here? Thought I heard a cat. Any tips on how I can get into a deep meditation during the day for sats? Uh, Absolutely. It, bring back siestas. Uh, if you aren't already doing afternoon naps or um, something of the sort, I would do that. If not a nap, then just, I mean, number one, meditation practice is going to help getting us deeply relaxed faster. Um, but what I found is after a meal, when you're already really, really sleepy, so like that 3 to 5 p.m. sweet spot is usually a really good time. Uh, but make sure to set an alarm in case you do fall asleep, because that is the practice here. We're practicing getting as relaxed as we can without veering completely over the edge of consciousness. But yeah, anything that you can set aside for the afternoon after a meal when you're naturally more tired and relaxed is going to be good. Whose guitars? Those are my husband's guitars. Hi, Mina. Long time no see. What's that? I love this one. Hi, Missy. The monkey mind is already on upon waking up. Any tips on how to combat that? Also, what's your favorite song from The Cure? Great question. Favorite song from The Cure? Probably either Fascination Street or, um, I mean, Just Like Heaven is obviously a classic. Probably Fascination Street if I had to choose. But the monkey mind. Yeah, yeah, it's insistent. And usually the times where it is most active is in the morning and in the evening when we don't really have our attention on something specific. Like in the day to day, for example, when we're at work, and we have our focus and concentration on something, it's a lot more manageable naturally. But then as soon as we have those periods where our mind is at rest, that's when the monkey mind tends to come in. Um, Practice, and I know that this one is going to feel very weird at first. It feels very backwards and counterintuitive. Just observe it to the best of your ability. Observe it objectively. If you're noticing reactions, if you're noticing that you're getting tense or anxious, introduce breathing exercises, taking some deep breaths, right? Just relaxing the body. But we want to practice not giving power to those thoughts, right? Because they're just thoughts. Thoughts themselves don't have power unless we give them that power. So just learning to observe from the place of awareness, objectively and without judgment. We don't need to flip it. We don't need to fight it. We don't need to try to combat it. More than likely, that's just going to make it exhausting. Just observe. Just observe. If you do find it becoming insistent, like I said, going back to breathing exercises, getting into a relaxed state is going to be incredibly helpful. And if all of that doesn't seem to be helping, then directing your attention to something to help, again, keep your focus on something else so the monkey mind isn't so consistent. I hope that makes sense. Let me know if you need me to elaborate on anything. Sweet Sloth, hello. Regarding my question from last week about forgiving my parents, I just can't believe that as a little girl I made them like this. How did it happen? I've known them like this for as long as I can remember. Good question. An important question, because this is where a lot of confusion and frustration can set in. Um, Like for those who grew up in difficult households, perhaps you had parents that were not the nicest. Like, how did we manifest that? Well, the short answer is, as a child, you're not the one doing that, right? Because you don't have a fully formed self-concept yet. When we're born, we are born a blank slate. As a baby, we don't have any conditions. We don't have any assumptions. We don't have any beliefs. Blank slate. So we are being conditioned in those early years, which is why those early years are so important to the development of self-concept, because that's where, you know, in that 0 to 7-year-old age, we're sponges absorbing it all. Basically, I really do need to make a video about this, but as awareness, as your higher self, whatever you want to call it, as God, we are selecting these individual experiences to experience. So again, I know I need to make a video going and elaborating more into that, but we're basically selecting before we're born. And then when we're born, of course, we're a blank slate. So no, we are not manifesting our parents being terrible to us. Like, children aren't doing anything like that. I hope that makes sense. Again, I know that it's a complex issue. There's a lot of layers to it, but yeah. If you struggle with revising and imagining them different, practice revision with different things first. Like, practice just getting the hang of revision, revising things that have less emotional impact, or, you know, that they're not as big to you. Yeah. Just getting into the habit of revision is going to help in all aspects. Yeah. Please make a video on that. Yeah, I need to. Yeah. Caddy's got a great question. What do you think creates desperation while manifesting? Maybe limiting ourselves with the timing of it? That's definitely, I think there's a couple different factors that go into desperation, why we get desperate. The biggest one being, of course, the conception of linear time. And the assumption that most people naturally have is, the longer it takes to get this thing, the more chance I stand to lose it, right? Like, in the example of a specific person, the longer that they're single, the more likely they're going to go off with somebody else, or they're going to move on. I mean, I'm speaking very generally here. I know that was a fear I had. So there's that aspect. There's the aspect of time. And there's also the aspect of, in general, we're impatient. Humans tend to, I mean, not every human, but we tend to have that, you know, I want what I want it now kind of feeling. So yeah, there's different facets into what goes into that, but I think the biggest one being linear time, for sure. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Autumn. I have like 3 or 4 shirts in this color just like this because I love it. Thank you. Where was my spot? Northwest Wind. Hello, sir. As you know, my main practice is infinite love, and it has helped me feel very blissful and very strongly, and very less strongly yearning for SP, who I'm best friends with. I do notice sometimes old stories come up. Is infinite love enough to dissolve this, or is it necessary to change stories specifically? I love the I am meditation, embodying unconditional love rather than specific scenes. I love that. Ah, I love that so much. Is infinite love enough to dissolve this? Absolutely, it is. Absolutely, without question. Without question. Now, if you would like to change up and like be a specific scene, if you wanted to change it up, if you felt inspired to do so, or if it felt like fun to do so, that's one thing, and absolutely you can, but it's not necessary. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Fear cannot sustain in a state of infinite love. Obviously, those are very, very polar things. So any stories that were not ideal, coming from a more fearful or anxious state, they can't stand to infinite love. Not at all. So yeah, it's more than enough. Mhm. Angie, you've got a good question. While doing sats before bed, do I have to loop it until I fall asleep to it, or can I stop when I feel satisfied then fall asleep? The latter. Yeah, you can stop when you feel satisfied. And I think that's a common misconception, that you have to take the scene itself into sleep. Like you have to fall asleep to that scene. I think that leads to a lot of confusion. You're just it's the feeling. We want to fall asleep in the feeling of it. So whatever is, you know, whatever's invoked, whatever is coming up for us, it's that feeling that we want to take in a sleep. So once we reach that feeling, we can drop the scene and just take that with us into sleep. Probably find that to be much easier too. Hi, Missy. Any tips for enhancing the senses while visualizing slash sats? I feel like I've got sight, smell, taste, hearing down, but struggle with the feeling actual touch in the scene. Good question. Any tips for enhancing the senses? Visualization exercises are going to be helpful. And by that, I mean all of the senses, really, maybe not just visualizing, but exercises that you like. For example, you can take something in your near vicinity, and like an object, take an object, hold it, like get as much of the feeling description, try to really get as much of that information, and then see if you can replicate it. Continue to go back into imagination and replicate that. So if, for example, you've got this like cute adorable little thing here, you want to just feel the textures of it. It feels smooth, right? It's like rubbery material. You want to get as much as the descriptions as you can, and then close your eyes and just try to capture that again. Like do the same action in imagination. Try to pick it up and just see if you can feel those smooth edges or whatever the object might be. I would actually maybe start that exercise with something that is a bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Maybe something that stands out a little bit more. So something like with texture, just to help really get the sensations down. But yeah, those types of exercises is how we strengthen our imaginal senses, basically. And practice and practice. Oh, where was my spot? Chat's jumping around a little bit. Hi, Missy. If I think it's happening now when I visualize for that moment, but in day think it's going to happen, is this good or would it contradict it? Please explain. Yeah, this I know that this part gets confusing. Is it going to happen or is it already done? It's already done. But we have to understand the relationship between 3D and 4D. In the 4D, in imagination, there is no time, as in we can experience anything that we want as if it's taking place right now. So, coming back to the 3D, so to speak, we understand that the 3D seemingly works in that linear fashion, right? It plays out in a series of events. So, what you should notice is that from the imaginal act, you are satisfied. As in, I'm no longer in this moment, at least, I am no longer feeling that strong desire that I had going into sats. That's really the distinction. It should feel like it is done because I experienced it. Therefore, there is no longer that desiring for it. I hope that makes sense. Um, yeah, I hope that makes sense. You guys are so good. Um, Hello, Joe. It has been a minute. And you've got a great question, too. Hey, Missy, it's been so long since I've been in the live. Welcome back. How do you know that you're putting in too much effort in imagination? My negative thoughts keep telling me I'm not doing this correctly. Yeah, I know the mind is, yeah, that inner critic can be really good at saying all sorts of terrible stuff. How do we know you're putting in too much effort? We'll know because it will feel like a chore. Like the idea of imagining or intentionally manifesting or intentionally imagining is going to feel like work. We may be putting it off because it's like, oh, I don't want to do that, right? That kind of an action. If that's kind of the response that we're noticing, it's because we're putting in too much effort. If you're noticing feeling of tired, feeling like you're losing bandwidth, so to speak, too much effort. Yeah. And so if that is the case, the key is to relax. Relax the body. Just, you know, the the opposite of effort is relaxing, right? Instead of tensing, we're releasing. So yeah. Can you describe your states of consciousness that reflected your person saying hurtful things versus the one that caused him to show up lovingly? Is it now like the past never happened? Absolutely. So it doesn't feel like it happened to me is the best way to put it. Like there is still a memory, quote unquote, of the hurtful events and the things that were said, but it doesn't resonate. Like it feels like it's somebody else's memory. I know that sounds really weird, but that's really kind of the best way to describe it because I'm no longer identifying with it. And that's the key. States of consciousness, all of them exist, right? So there is that reality where I experienced this undesirable thing. I experienced him saying these things. It was really hurtful. Like those states still exist. They're always going to exist, but I no longer identify with them. Yeah. And I hope that is answering the question. Let me know if you need me to kind of elaborate on anything else. And I know we got a little bit of a lag. I'm sorry, guys. Hello, Yara. Hello. Oh, I think I missed one here. Hi, Missy. How do we deal with the strong negative emotions toward SP or 3D while manifesting? I have a lot of anger toward people and things in 3D. Um, Even if I tell myself they're not like this in my imagination, the stronger anger feelings would make it hard for me to let 3D go or leave it alone. I know that feeling. It kind of messes up my mental diet. How could I release all of these negative emotions and feelings? That is a fantastic question because I would be willing to wager that a lot of people can relate to that. A lot of anger, a lot of frustration at people and circumstances in 3D. I mean, the first thing that we want to practice is revision. I know at first it may seem difficult. I know that for a lot of people, there's hesitancy to do revision. There might be some aversion to it um, because, number one, we don't like the idea of revisiting a bad memory, and two, it feels like we're lying to ourselves. Um, I totally get that. But the aim with revision is to just allow ourselves to experience another state. So purely from the place of what would it have been like just so I can feel it, right? Not for the not to say like, oh, that old event never happened, but what if it had been different? And then just allowing ourselves to go there. And it does get easier with practice. In fact, I have a video coming out. It should be done by tomorrow, but very soon. I have a video coming out on revision success stories, which would hopefully give people some motivation and a boost to give it a shot, because it's incredible. Revision is forgiveness. To revise is to forgive, and I'm not talking like the forgiveness that we might think of. It's like, oh, I forgive you, but I won't forget. It's no longer being attached to that old state of consciousness. Because when we do that, the future will begin to reflect from that revised state. So let me just make sure I covered everything. That said, if it still feels like there's a lot of resistance, if it feels like there's difficulty in getting yourself into a relaxed state, you might just need to let yourself cry. You might just need to let yourself release, be mad, punch pillows, sob, whatever that takes. Let yourself do that. Because it could also be that there have been a lot of suppressed feelings. There's been a lot of things that have been pushed down so that, when we try to navigate it or we try to overcome it, it's we've been bottling it for so long. If you need to explode, explode. But don't let the sun descend upon your anger. Which means we just go back and revise it. Once we're feeling better, once we let it out and we begin to feel more calm, go back and revise it. Yeah. But it is something that I certainly grappled with. I had I had so much anger. Thinking about it now is wild. But the way to overcome that is revision. Vivian. Hi, Missy. Hi, everyone. Excuse me. I'm going to get some water over here. Just need some water. There we go. There's no lag? All right, cool. I'll take it. It appears to be lagging a little bit on my end, but revision really is a game changer. I know, right? Agreed, KK. Where was my spot? Arlene, you have a good question. How can I tell if I am in the Sabbath or if I have just lost interest? That's a good one. Ask the way to tell if we still want the thing that we desire is to ask yourself, if our desire showed up today, like for example, if I'm manifesting a specific person, and if that person showed up on my doorstep today, would I still want them? Would I take them back? If the answer is yes, that's how you know. Hi, Francesca. I did get your email, by the way. We're going to get everything sorted today. Rest assured. Revision. Please, can you do a video on how to step-by-step revise unwanted situation on the spot immediately when we're triggered in 3D? I mean, yeah. I have, excuse me. It's really dry up here. That's probably what's going on. I have done a few videos on revision. Revising on the spot at first may prove to be a bit more challenging because when we react to something, it's subconscious, right? Our reactions are subconscious. So, and when we are triggered by something, it can feel very difficult to detach from it in that moment. And everyone has experienced this. If something happens and it makes you really angry, you get pissed off, it's difficult to shut that switch off immediately on the spot. Now, it gets easier with practice. And that's kind of the point of the practice, is to be able to observe without judgment, like observe how we feel, like just objectively, and then navigate it in a way that we're not then spiraling from there. I hope that makes sense. Basically, I would be making sure that you are practicing revision every single night. And then just playing around with in the day to day when certain things happen, maybe you would have liked it to go a little bit different. Try playing with it on the spot. Things that are not so emotionally charged. Again, when we are triggered, it takes practice to be able to just, stop it in that moment. Yeah. But as long as you revise by the end of the day, you're good. Is it a good idea to tell your SP you manifested you manifested them? A part of me tells me to be honest. I mean, absolutely, if you want to tell them. It is entirely up to you. I mean, regardless of whatever happens, you know that you can always revise it if it, for whatever reason, doesn't go the way you want it to go. But honestly, do it. When I told my husband, he called me a witch. We had a good laugh. It was fun. No harm, no foul. Damn it, where the hell was my spot? Sorry, guys. Vivian! Yay! Hi, Missy. Hi, everyone. I'm very happy. In a moment after great anxiety, I relaxed with a deep, long breath and got into sats. Finally learned how to do it. Thanks. Good. Happy for you. That is such an amazing feeling. Hi, Missy. What's the best way to get rid of that pit in the stomach feeling? Yeah, I hate that. The pit in the stomach is anxiety. It's plain and simple. It's anxiety. It's fear, basically. The fight or flight response have just been triggered. You want to combat that through, again, taking deep breaths, any kind of technique or exercise that is going to help you with relaxing the body, sending signals to the brain that we're not in danger, first and foremost. So just taking a moment, wherever you are, like we can take deep breaths from anywhere, right? And then that's the beauty of breathing exercises. I talk about them all the time because they really do help so much in helping us get relaxed. You can also try tapping, EFT tapping. You know, for a lot of people, it has been really helpful for them. Anything along those lines, or if you naturally have any kind of exercise that you can turn to that you've used in the past for when you feel anxious, use that. Uh, Basically, we just need to remember that it's just fear. It's fear. We don't need to panic. We don't need to fuel it even further, so to speak. No, no. Get yourself as relaxed as you can, and then move. Victoria, good to see you. How do you recommend people to SATs when they are struggling with anxiety or managing their emotions? Good question. So if you're noticing a lot of anxiety coming up, uh, I would start with just getting into meditation, just getting into that relaxed state. I mean that is key overall to the best of our ability. If your mind begins to wander, if thoughts come in and out, that just let it be. Don't try to engage with any of those things because we're gonna have thoughts come in and out when we're getting into sats, like as we're getting ready to fall into sleep. So again, myself personally, I take deep breaths. I do a scan of my body. I see if there are any areas specifically in my body that I'm holding tension. I release that tension, um, and just again practice going deeper, so to speak. And it might be helpful to at first like practice just getting as relaxed as you can. At first, it is going to probably feel challenging, especially if you're somebody that has anxiety, somebody that does have a lot of emotions coming up in the day to day. Yeah, at first it's going to feel, mm, but I would like don't even introduce a scene yet. Like an exercise can be to just practice getting into as much of a relaxed and drowsy state as you can. Um, that was one of the things that I did in the afternoons. Like, I would set an alarm to go off in case I fell asleep, because a lot of times I did fall asleep, but I would just practice getting as relaxed as I could, like, as going as close to that edge of sleep without crossing all the way over, and then intentionally bringing myself up out of it. So just practicing going deeper, because from there, you're gonna notice significantly less resistance. Significantly less resistance. When we are in that drowsy state, so much less resistance. Yeah. So first, just emphasis on the drowsy state. Don't even try to jump into your scene right away or anything like that. Yeah. I hope that made sense. Why my computer acting weird? Totally lost my spot. How do you deal with the not feeling good enough, pretty enough for SP? I've struggled with this a lot. Boo. Boo. It's nonsense. It's nonsense, I say. Yeah, unfortunately, this is also something really common. The not being good enough. And that's a lot of I mean, a lot of it comes from societal conditioning. A lot of it comes from things like social media probably isn't helping our self-esteem very much. Yeah, there's a lot of things that we have absorbed growing up, and it's really warped our perception of ourselves. Um, so first is understanding that you're not any of those old conceptions, like not who you really are. Like as consciousness, you're none of those things. So the idea with all of this is getting into imagination, because in imagination you can be, do, have anything. So regardless of the 3D, regardless of like I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough, blah blah blah, there is a state of consciousness where you are absolutely good. And in fact, you know, he needs to get to your level. There's a state where you are on the pedestal, you are prioritized, you are the prize. That's what we are imagining, because there are no limits to imagination. Where we get stuck is we don't allow ourselves to go there because it doesn't feel realistic according to the 3D. Like screw the 3D. The 3D is out there. We're going in here. So remember that there is no limits to states that you can access in your imagination. And this is also why it's helpful to get relaxed, get drowsy first. If you have a lot of resistance to the idea of your desire, get as relaxed as possible first. I'm going to stress that until I am blue in the face. Yeah. Take care, Yara. Thank you for stopping in. Hi, Missy. My question is, after you began embodying the state, were you still getting emotional triggers? Good question. So, I take it you mean while I was in the Sabbath, right? Because starting on the journey, I have absolutely had moments of back and forth. I would have moments where I very much felt amazing. I felt wonderful. My imagination seemed so lovely, and I would be in a better mood, and then something would happen, and I would immediately like fall back into that old state. So yeah, at first there was a lot of back and forth. There was a lot of emotional triggers, but at a certain point, no, you're no longer that there are no triggers because you no longer identify with any of that old stuff. And that's the whole point. Like what we embody, what we imagine, what we assume determines how we're going to react. So if I am confident, if I am relaxed, if I am secure within myself, probably not going to have the same triggers as when I was deeply insecure, when I was deeply fearful, right? So this is a radical change of self, and that's the entire point. So at a certain point, no, you don't react anymore like you used to. Yeah. Missy, you talk about testing the law with making a list of less significant things to us. I make one every week and put it away, then hardly think about it, but not one thing materializes. Mm. So, when it comes to testing the law, if we're going to use the list method, if we're going to write down these small, insignificant things, we have to be able to set it and forget it. We have to be able to put it out of sight, out of mind. Because if we are bringing into awareness, it's not here yet. If we're continuing to say, like, oh, where did it, nothing's manifested, nothing's come to fruition. From that state, it's certainly not going to show up that way. The items on your list are going to show up when you are not looking for them, when you are not thinking about them. That's when they're going to show up. So if that feels difficult to do, then I would try testing the law using a different approach. Because even though we don't have attachment to those smaller things, we very well could have attachment to the idea of manifestation and really needing this to be true and really needing this to work. Yeah, which can cause us to be looking for it or continuing to notice, like, it's not here yet, it's not here yet. So we have to be able to drop it. If that feels difficult to do, then I would, like I said, I would revert to building faith by seeing how the law operates for you. And what I mean by that is, if the law is true, then that should mean that you will be able to be aware that your 3D is matching your imagination and what you're assuming, right? If the law states that what I imagine and what I assume is what becomes my 3D experience, I should notice that, right? So we really want to pay attention to the inner worlds, the inner thoughts that we're having in the day-to-day, the reactions that we're having, and what's taking place outside of us. Because the more that we are observant, we're going to see that the 3D always follows our imagination. So we don't have to try to manifest anything. Yeah. Maybe that would be a little bit more helpful. Why does the desire fade away and become natural? Should we continue being in the end? Good question. Why does the desire fade away and become natural? Because that's always what happens when we get a desire. Like, whenever a desire is fulfilled, we're no longer desiring it. It just becomes normal. Think about anything in your life where any point in time where you wanted something and then you got it. You didn't continue desiring and feeling these powerful emotions. Eventually, it's those feelings subside and it just becomes normal. It's like that with literally everything. Yeah, because again, you cannot continue to desire something that you have. It doesn't work like that. Where was my spot? Sorry, guys. I'm just checking something real quick. 2 seconds. I'm doing that. Isn't it wonderful manifestation? Yeah, isn't it wonderful is an incredible technique. Predominantly my go-to. Let me see. When you focused on self-concept when manifesting your person, how did you do it? Affirmations? If so, what did you focus on? Good question. Assuming you're talking about me personally. Important to note, as far as techniques go, it's going to be different for everyone. It's challenging for me to answer questions like what's the best technique or anything like that because literally going to be different for everybody. So the best technique is the one that comes most naturally to you. For myself, the main things that I did, revision, sats, basically, more or less. But like I said, it doesn't matter the technique that you use. It truly doesn't matter. What matters is how you feel more than anything. Hey, Missy, I've been consistently imagining my desire lately and it feels good, but sometimes I can't help but take a notice of the 3D and get disappointed. Does this go away over time? It does. It does. But when we catch ourselves looking to the 3D, we want to take that as feedback. We want to really pay attention. Those moments, like in those moments, we're obviously not in the state of the wish fulfilled, right? And it's nothing to be, frustrated or scared about. It just means that we need to shift our attention. We need to shift our focus. Yeah. I mean, I know naturally we're going to be keen to check the 3D from time to time. There's nothing that we're going to see out in the 3D. Like we're not going to see signs before the manifestation comes. That's not how it works. There's literally no point in checking the 3D. It's just going to make you mad. Yeah. What that means is that instead we want to go back to imagination. Kelly, hi. Good to see you here. Hi, Missy. If everyone is she pushed out, do concepts like narcissism and gaslighting even exist? People only treat me how I assume they will, right? Yes. In a nutshell, yes. Now, that's not to say that I wouldn't say that narcissism and gaslighting doesn't exist because all states exist. All states of consciousness exist. So there is absolutely a state where, you know, this person, whoever it might be, is a narcissist, is gaslighting, but our it's our perception ultimately. So there needs to be a change in how we are perceiving them. Naturally, we don't want to see them through the lens of a narcissist or that they're a narcissist. We want to see them as somebody who is kind, somebody who's empathic, somebody who is caring and loving. So, but to the second part, absolutely correct. People only treat me how I assume they will. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Kataki, hello. Hi, Missy. Happy Sunday. Thanks for a great session. After sats, before bed, I started having dreams of SP where there is distance between us. Is it feedback? If so, how to fix it? I mean, dreams like the 3D, like it's all feedback. It's all feedback as to what is going on within consciousness, right? What's going on in the contents of our consciousness. I mean, that said, we don't have to give this huge significant meaning to it either. We don't need to give it some great importance. Literally, and I wouldn't. I wouldn't give it that much importance, because we can literally just adjust the attention and focus. So if I'm noticing that I'm having dreams of distance between myself and my person, well, is that what I am perceiving? Is that how I am feeling? Am I feeling like there's a lot of distance between me and my person? Probably why that dream's coming up. So we fix it by imagining togetherness, imagining closeness, imagining here now with you. Yeah. Another question, what should we do about nightmares? Yeah. And it's important to remember we don't we give meaning to everything as well. So we don't panic. Never panic. Shoot, I look for signs of gaslighting often. Ugh, ugh. Yeah, I would not do that. I would stop doing that. Now, to be clear, if there is somebody in your world that is gaslighting you, that like I mean, number 1, yes, we wanna change the conception of them. We want to see them in a different light, in imagination, but that doesn't mean that you need to subject yourself to it in the 3D either. To be abundantly clear, don't do that. Don't do that. On Neville, when he said he was doing sats, he was lying flat on his back. Is it necessary to lay flat on your back when doing sats? Mm-mm, no. So in his earlier works versus his later works, you're going to notice that a lot of the, I mean, not the substance of what he taught that didn't change, but there were some things that he tweaked and adjusted. You can definitely see growth and evolution, just like with anyone else. So he eventually, I forget what lecture it was, but he basically cleared it up that you don't have to lay flat on your back. You can lay however you'd like that is comfortable, maybe not too comfortable so that you fall asleep really quick, but yeah, you can do it sitting up, you can do it standing up, doesn't really matter. Sorry, my microphone's in the way of this chat. I should move this. Yara had to go. She was in here for a moment. And she had to take off. Missy, why do we think things that we don't want to think? Yeah, the ultimate paradox. Because we're creatures of habit. Because that's what we've been familiar with. That's what we've always done, unfortunately. So, but we can change that. Oh, thank you, Marie. You are sweet. Where's my spot? I have a question about time. What is your question about time? If you're curious about time, you should check out the last video I made. Yeah. Hey, MR, if I love that. If wait, oh, it just jumped. Oh, Oh, no, the message was retracted. Oh, I'm sorry about that. I don't know if that was a glitch or what happened there. Hello, how do I improve my communication with SP? We are talking, but I want to strengthen our communication and I want him to respond quickly to my messages and make me his priority. So, what would it feel like if you were his priority? Like, how would you be reacting in the day to day? How would you be feeling in the day to day if you knew that you were the priority and the 3D was showing that? See, what's happening here is there's too much focus on the external circumstance. There's too much focus on the thing that you don't want. So this is really the practice of directing our attention so that we're not fixing on what we don't want. Because for a lot of people, I'd argue most people, we've been conditioned to think about the worst things. We're conditioned to see the glass half empty. We're conditioned to see, like, how does that saying go? Hope for the best, plan for the worst. Terrible advice. Terrible advice. Don't do that. So we really need to practice with where is the attention going? Like, are my thoughts and focus going to what I don't want to see? If that's the case, then imagine now that he is messaging you often, that he is prompt when replying, that he is telling you the things that you want to hear. And literally, quite literally, allow yourself to have that experience. Like, go there in your imagination. Because if we're continuing to assume, like, and identify with, he's not prioritizing me, he's not communicating with me, it's what we're going to continue to experience. Yeah. Ashes, I'm curious about your question. I'm not sure if I'm understanding it right. After hearing about detachment from a lot of people, I'm wondering, is it somehow possible to manifest using obsession? It doesn't really help to detach and still not desired results after a long time. Um, well, is it possible to manifest using obsession? I mean, the only way that I could take it to mean in a positive light is like you're so fixed on the end that you're not allowing yourself to entertain anything else. Like you are keeping your attention steadfast on that end state. In that context, absolutely. But to be clear, detachment is something that happens naturally. Detachment is what will naturally happen when we've been occupying a new state of consciousness. We're no longer going to be attached to that old state and the old beliefs and all the identifiers, like what we identified with. That is what detachment is. So we're not going to be reacting the same. We're not going to be having the same thoughts coming in. That comes from a change in consciousness, and that'll happen on its own. So I'm not sure what you've been learning about detachment, but if it's really going to feel difficult if we try to detach. Yeah. But now, if we're obsessing about the thing that we want from a place of not having it, if we're constantly obsessing about wanting this thing, that's ideally what we want to get ourselves out of. Yeah. Let me see. Mm, when are you when are you doing house tour and when is your book coming? uh how house tour 2025. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm about halfway done with the book. It's coming along. I mean, the last 2 months have been just moving mainly. That's been the bulk of my free time, but I will let everyone know. John. If I have a persistent urge to text someone and I keep telling it to nap off, what's going on? Which could that be out of a bridge of events or just persistent neediness? It's damn annoying. If you have a persistent urge to text someone, well, could it be a bridge of event? I mean, the bridge usually unfolds in a way that we're not conscious of. Yes, sometimes we will feel like an inspiration to take an action, to do something, but it's usually in a more indirect way. Um, I guess the most important thing is to know, like, are you feeling anxious? Like when this urge to text someone comes up, like, are you noticing anxiety? Are you noticing fear? Or do you feel relaxed? If it's the latter, I'd let yourself go with it. And that's kind of the whole idea of surrendering. We're not trying to go against the flow of what takes place. We're just kind of going along with the ride. But if you are noticing a lot of anxiety, if you're noticing a lot of feelings of tension or stress, I personally would not take action from that state. Hi, Missy. I know techniques don't matter, but I wonder if I'm visualizing correctly. Um, well, how do you feel? As in, do you notice a reaction? Do you notice like a response to your visualization? Are you feeling anything or no? So we need to start there. I got time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions. Boo. In your journey to manifest your SP, how did you work on your self-concept? You mentioned revision. Did you also affirm? I was never huge. I mean, I at one point I was huge on affirmations, but I haven't really used them in a long time. I mean, once in a blue moon, if it resonates and it feels good, but for the most part, I don't use affirmations. Not really. I did make a video talking about what I did on my SP journey, like going into more detail of what that process looked like. Uh, it should be one of the videos that come up if you type in the search bar Missy Renee specific person. Um, I think the title, if I can recall correctly, the title is like what you need to know before manifesting your person, something like that. But yeah, I made a video talking in more length about what I did, for lack of better words, mainly revision and SATs. Hmm. To be clear, though, SATs does not mean you have to visualize per se. SATs is just the drowsy state. You can use affirmations in SATs. You can use any technique in SATs. It's basically just doing it from a relaxed state. Hi, Missy. Do you have anything to share on hypnagogia? What is it? How can we use it for manifesting? How to get in that hypnagogic state, etc. Would be much appreciated. Yeah, I talk about the hypnagogic state a lot in my last video that I did on SATs, the most recent one. And I do touch on that quite often. Yeah, the hypnagogic state is basically the medical term for the state akin to sleep. It's that place right between awake and asleep, and that's where the magic happens. How to get into that hypnagogic state. I do cover a lot of this. Damn it! I wish I remember the titles of the videos. But it was the most recent video that I made on SATs. I go a lot more into the hypnagogic state. Obviously, meditation is a helpful gateway. Goes without saying. But also check out that video. Yeah. Hello, it might be a dumb question, but I feel like I need to stop manifesting my SP in order to get him. What is your opinion? Because I believe if I were with him, I would not be affirming all day. I mean, you're not wrong, because I mean, we wouldn't be affirming if we already knew we had it. That we do need to stop trying, as in putting a whole lot of mental effort into this from a place of fear or urgency or desperation. That's going to feel just frustrating, and it's going to make us anxious, and it's not going to feel pleasant. Now that doesn't mean that you need to like give up on your desire. That doesn't mean that you need to like move on or anything like that. But if we're noticing anxiousness, if we're feeling burned out, that's our cue that we need to pump the brakes on trying so hard. Yeah. Prioritize your mental health. What's the balance between not paying attention to 3D versus acknowledging it? Like having bills, but someone trying to manifest wealth. Good question. So absolutely, we can acknowledge the 3D. We can say, you know, this is what is appearing in front of me right now. Just as, but we don't have to attach any meaning to that. We do not have to say like, oh, because it is this way now, it's going to continue to be this way. And that's where we tend to run into issues. Like, oh, because this 3D event happened, that means this terrible thing's going to happen. Or we start to go into the future and all of that. No. We can see that this was a state that was manifested, for lack of better words. Like, this is the contents of my consciousness. This is my imagination pushed out, but I don't have to give it more meaning beyond that. So we're not, what's the word I'm looking for? We're not, some people I think take this a little bit too far and try to literally ignore the 3D, like pretend it's not there. That I mean, if it works for you, then great. But I know for a lot of people, you're going to feel delusional if you try to take that route. We can see with the physical senses that things are the way they are right now in the 3D. It's knowing and understanding that the contents of the 3D is always changing. So we're not going to get worked up about it. We're not going to get stressed about it. We're not going to be attached to whatever negative 3D outcome appears out there. So I hope that makes sense. Like, no, we don't have to literally ignore it. We can acknowledge it because we know we ultimately can change it. And so, yeah. That was a good question, though. I just ordered the complete reader today. I've already read a few of Neville's books online, but nothing beats a physical copy. Yes, I agree. I agree. I think I know I still have my copy around here somewhere, covered in highlight markers. That thing is old. Oh my God, Annie. Yes, and I will let everyone know. I am writing a book, and I will let everyone know when that's about to come out. Missy, I want to live in my end and live in my 4D. Well, I have good news for you. Because you can. At any point, at any time. You can go live in you can live in the 4D. I mean, you are living in the 4D right now, in fact. You're doing that right now. Yes, imagination is our sanctuary. We must not forget. What's that vibrating? Something vibrating? Are we having an earthquake? I don't know. Oh, yeah, yeah, the phone. Yeah. Let me see. Where was I? Is it possible when manifesting my SP after a recent breakup with them that I can manifest them to quit their unhealthy job and lifestyle, example, substance abuse? Absolutely. You mean, can we manifest for others? Absolutely. Yes. Not only can we do that, but we are doing that. We're already manifesting how everyone shows up for us. That's the concept of everyone issue pushed out. That means people are showing up in the way that we are perceiving them, the way that we imagine them to be. So in this case, if you want to change the outcome for somebody, if you want to help them, you see them in imagination as you would want to see them in the 3D. So you would, in this case, they're working at a job that they love. They have a career that they love now. They're healthy. They are no longer, engaging in substance abuse. Like they're all of that. We can absolutely imagine something different, and we should. We absolutely should. We want to see, especially for people that we love and care about. We want to see them in the absolute best light. So 1000% we can manifest for other people. We are manifesting how other people show up. Um, so if we want to see that change in the 3D, first imagine it. First see them in that light. Oh. Mm. And on that note, unfortunately, I do have to get going, you guys. I'm sorry. I know today is a little bit of shorter Q&A as well, but I do appreciate everyone being here. Lovely to have your company as always. Great questions today. Much love to each and every one of you. I'm sorry for anyone that I did not get to, but rest assured, I do this every weekend. So I hope to see you back here next week. In the meantime, keep eyes out for that revision success story video. I think you guys are going to get a kick out of that one. I know you're going to get a kick out of that one. And until next time, much love, guys.